Thanks for joining us once more on this wonderful edition of Game of Thrones here in Yaoundé on Full Television. Of course, this edition is very special because we're talking about the upcoming presidential elections as, of course, crowds are pulling behind political parties, both the opposition and the party in power. It is very obvious that is this crowd a determinant factor to success in the upcoming presidential polls. Aside that, we'll be taking you to the world of entrepreneurship, which of course is very important in Cameroon, talking about the presence of startups in Cameroon. Is it a myth or a reality? Of course, we have a plethora of intellectual panelists with us. With me on my left, we have a jurist, a barrister, of course, somebody who has the legal insight to make sure that things go well. Barrister Michael Kelefak, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Philip. Good evening to my co-panelists. It is my pleasure to be here on set for this program for us to continue discussing sensitive issues intended to build our nation. Thanks for your invitation.
Of course, intending to build our nation, that's the main objective of this program, Games of Trone. On my right, of course, we have somebody who is very well known in this program. You've been part of this program for over 4 years, and it is no news that such a topic is very familiar to you. I'm talking about Dr. Kinang Derry. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening to my co-panelists. Good evening to your millions of viewers out there.
Of course.
You also permit me to say good evening, a special one to His Excellency President Paul Biya. You want to permit me say good evening to the Secretary General of the Presidency, Ferdinand Gongo.
Okay.
You want to permit me say good evening to the Director of Civil Cabinet.
Of course, all of them are watching.
Right.
They are watching.
You also want to permit me say good evening to all the presidential aspirants and to Louis Paul Motaze, the Minister of Finance. You will get to understand why I'm greeting this person.
You must be a nation builder.
Sure.
Thank you very much for your presence. Of course, presently here we have an activist or a civil society activist, as you usually say, John Naniba. Of course, apart being a civil society activist, you're also an educationist. Good evening and welcome to this program. This is your first time of you participating here.
Thank you very much, Phil. It is over maybe 2 years. We met somewhere.
Yeah, of course.
And, thank you for inviting me. Good evening to Mr. Kinan Derrick, who is surprising me with his greeting. And we know that this is election fever. People may greet people they have never greeted before. And good evening to Kwajik, to the legal mind. And I'm happy to be here. I want to greet all teachers and to say I heard Correct is calling for a strike action, but I want to think that there is no need. There is no need for that. Please.
John Niba will be coming back in the course of this program. Let's take our panelists here. Bless Kwajika. Good evening. Bless Kwajika.
Good evening, my Mr.
Enchi. Of course, it's very new to you. You're not yet familiar with the face and the name. It's Phillips Enchi.
Yeah, Phillips Enchi.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good evening to my co-panelists. Good afternoon to your televiewers. Good evening to all the militants of PCRN. Good evening to the candidate carried by PCRN. That's Honorable Cabralibi, which is actually on his way to the far north for the pre-campaign to galvanize our militants, galvanize the sympathizers, galvanize all the Cameroonians, the change, people who are driven by the spirit of change. Good evening to all our militants at the diaspora, because these are people who really plays a vital role in these elections.
Of course.
And it's a pleasure for me to be here.
Thank you, Bless Kwajika. Of course, I'll go directly to what we have as program. But before we continue, let's have this transition, and we'll be back in a moment. It's Info Television here in Yaoundé. Of course, we all know we are in the period of pre-campaign in Cameroon. And of course, both the opposition and the party in power are making sparing no efforts to make sure that these particular upcoming 2025 presidential elections be a success in their area or sphere of control. Of course, today we'll be talking about crowd power in the 2025 polls. We're talking about the 2025 presidential elections. Is it a dominant of electoral success in Cameroon? Of course, I'll commence with you, Barrister. You are somebody who is, of course, vested with the law, and it is very obvious that today in Cameroon, there are so many political leaders that are parading around the country in the various divisions and subdivisions, convincing those who are supposed to vote when the time comes for them to stand by them. Are you sure this particular attitude presently is something worthy of appreciation? If actually it is worthy of appreciation, do you think these crowds are going to actually vote for those who are convincing them at this particular moment, despite the fact that they themselves have the final say on the election day?
Mr. Henchi, thank you for that question. Before I delve into answering you, permit me to go into the archives of history. We are talking about crowd polling factor in elections. I want to quote this late the chairman of the National Social Democratic Front.
You're talking about?
Former chairman,
okay,
Nijon Fundi of blessed memory,
okay,
who is reported in this document, Difficult Choices in a Fair Democracy.
That's not publicity. You're not
Yes,
publicity.
I'm not making publicity. I'm simply showing that this is
okay.
this
At
is
least
so
those who are watching us, the viewers
the
are aware
article,
of it. Just go directly to what you have to say.
It is reported in one of the pages, an interview which was granted to the Post newspaper in 2005, that he said he was talking about the convention which took place in 2004, because he said, before we went out for presidential elections last year, both the coalition and some SDF people told me, Fundi, you've come to the end of the road. Don't attempt even the SDF primaries. Look at the rallies in Bafoussam, Limbe, Bamenda, Kumba, Yaoundé, Douala, and the northern provinces. They were just as full as the 1990-1992 campaign rallies, talking about the issue of the crowd pulling effect, effervescence of the crowd to accompany people during or candidates during electoral moments like we are living on today.
Yeah.
Now, if I want to stand by what the quotation I just referred in 2005, the question is this crowd pulling factor that he was being carried into and being amazed that he had followers. What was the outcome of the 2004 presidential elections? It was not because of the massive attendance of the rallies that gave victory, but it was a candidate who was voted at the ballot box.
But during that period, he had an influence over these electors.
The point I'm trying to bring out here is this, Mr. Enchi, that we should not look at crowd, because we are looking at the crowd, we are going far from what the essence of elections itself. Because if we want to look at the crowd, the question should be, I will be impressed to see a crowd that every member of the crowd is there with the voter's card to say, this is my voter's card, this is my voter's card. So if these people are coming with a common objective that we are going to vote, showing presenting their voter's card as being the electors who are supporting the candidate, we can be hoping that success, we are expecting success in their actions. But if it is just people who may just for the sake of seeing somebody passing by, that you have never seen Honorable Cabral Levy tete-a-tete, and today he's passing around in 4 TV.
Barrister Mike,
yes.
Barrister Mike, it's very obvious that at one point in time, these political party leaders just commuting with their fellow citizens, it gives them a perfect leeway for them to actually get an insight to these people, like knowing them very well, and also maybe gain their votes during the elections. Don't you think once this is done, it is a leeway for these political party leaders to actually make their way to the elections when the time comes?
Of course, to commune with the electorate is but normal, because that is getting to know, feel their problems at the base, and trying to propose solutions that which are alternatives to what they which might be alternatives to what they are as believing as the problem. But the problem we have in Cameroon with the opposition in Cameroon is that they have always been crowd pullers. The outcome of the result of the elections not being in their favor.
Meaning they are working for the party in power.
I cannot say they work for the party in power, but I think being a member of the crowd, like I said, being a member of the crowd does not qualify you to be a voter if you are not a registered voter. Now, those who are, what will constitute success in an election should be, how do you galvanize electors, registered voters, to be the ones maybe propagating or being members of this crowd, to galvanize and sensitize them that let the crowd, we want to see the crowd on the polling day, not on rallies. Because having crowds on rallies is very normal, because people are not registered. You cannot disperse them from the crowd, and they will come and they will hear, they will clap, they will give praises. But the question is, on the final day, these people were clapping for you, giving praises, singing your glory. Will they be there to cast out the vote, which is just a single vote we need from every member of this crowd? Will they be there? We saw that in 2018 that there was a crowd puller, but the result of the outcome of the elections, is it what Cameroonians were living? So what we need to know is that let's not look at what the crowd is, just a superficial aspect of elections. What is really needed is that let us try to raise the awareness that people should not find political rallies as a way,
that's your point of view,
to win elections, but they should find how to make Cameroonians get registered and participate massively at voting.
Cameroonians are already registered, of course. They are expecting the upcoming polls in October 12, 2025, and it's very obvious that those who belong to where they belong, of course, they are going to vote for their parties in power. Of course, I'll come back to you, Blaise Kwajika. You're from the PCRN, opposition political party in Cameroon, of course, with the president, Cabral Libi. Do you think at this moment, with the tour that Cabral Libi is manifesting today in Cameroon, do you think the up and downs is an assurance that he's going to emerge winner in the upcoming presidential polls?
Yeah, I will use this your platform to extend my gratitude to all our militants in Kribi who manifested. They came out in their numbers to receive Honorable Cabral Libi with a message that he was carrying for the presidential elections when it comes to his political program. Because there is one thing that our panelists do not really want to bring. When he wants to keep aside that crowd doesn't really contribute to the victory in an election for me.
But your candidate was actually a participant in the 2018 presidential elections. What was the result? Is it going to repeat itself this year?
Yeah, I'm coming. I just want to clarify something. Crowd is very, very important when it comes to politics. That's what we call...
Now, tell us how.
It depends, like, who are you calling? Who are those constituting the crowd? If it is a crowd that consists of people who do not have voters' card, I think that would be productive. If it is crowd which does not consist maybe your base militants, I think that crowd won't be productive for you. But when you have a crowd that contains militants...
Do you think Cameroonians are behind your party?
That's what I'm saying. I'm coming. Those militants are Cameroonians that we are talking. When you have a crowd of 5,000 Cameroonians that are regrouping just to come and listen, because you need to understand, a human being is very rational with his time. When someone can forgo his activities just to come and listen for a message.
But we all know that Cabral Libi speaks so very well. He's an intellectual, we know that. But do you think his educational prowess can be a success to this election?
Of course.
Tell us more.
Of course. That's what I'm saying. The crowd, when we pull the crowd, we need to know who constitutes the crowd. That's what I want to make you understand, where the victory can come. Where it has to do with militants, that is, delegates coming from the suburb, like what we saw in Kribi. The massive turnout when Cabral Libi was there. We saw delegates coming from all the region from the south to assist.
Talking about your creepy stuff, I just want us to be
permit me.
No, I'll permit you. I just want us to be very clear about this. Of course, with other political party sympathizers who have been, of course, on the race for some time now. Your party leader was actually in the Ocean Division, talking about Kribi, of course, and it's very obvious that during the festival, they call it the Nguma Mabi Festival. One of the traditional rulers there, of course, was annoyed based on his dress code, putting on a yellow loincloth, which of course is not accepted. According to these traditional rulers, they believe putting on this in their midst, it signifies that they've given their entire support to the PCR and political party. But on the contrary, you need to understand that this is an environment which of course has dedicated 100% support to the CPD and political party. Don't you think Cabral Libi, your party leader, was maybe trying to manipulate those people in that area?
I think this is a joke. When you are a leader, what makes a leader are the people. If you are a chief, you can't be a chief of your own. When you're a chief, it's thanks to the people that you become a chief. I don't know you're getting me. So
you're talking to Cameroonians.
I'm talking to Cameroonians. So if the people who have the power and Trone give something symbolical to a leader, and you as a chief, you come, because some of those chiefs, we know the maneuver that is behind all these things. We saw some of these chiefs at the presidency. We know some of those chiefs, they already have their stand.
Are they there to pull the crowd?
Some of these chiefs already have their stand. They have their political parties. And when they see their people already endorsing another candidate, when you, in fact, it's something that we don't need to lay emphasis on.
No,
we already know.
We need to lay emphasis on, because we are talking.
It's simple.
We are in a moment.
It's very simple.
We are in a moment, Mr. Bless. We are in a moment.
There was nothing like this. If Cabral Libi didn't ask the people to give him, he didn't pay anybody to come at that ceremonial ground.
It's a cultural. It's a cultural festival.
It's a cultural festival, and those who make the cultural festival are the people, are the natives of that land. And the people who were there were Caribbeans, were the natives.
Was he permitted to dress like that?
He wasn't the one who gave him. They came towards him. He didn't. All that he didn't. How can I say? He didn't introduce himself.
Don't you think your political party leader is manipulating those people in that region?
What do you mean? What do you mean by manipulating the people? It is the people who makes their chiefs. If the chiefs can't respect I don't know what the people need or whatsoever, and the people are seeing that leadership on another person, why not? When you talk of a loin or whatsoever, you seem as if it's someone who came from I don't know, from another planet to come at this.
Maybe the strategy that your political party leader
but first
used
of all,
during that period wasn't enough convincing.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I think
what happened.
But I think
what happened.
No, we have important things to talk about.
No, we are talking important things. We are talking about the
you are clearly, we are out of the topic.
The people,
because I think the loin has nothing to do with the crowd. If the people already endorsed and came themselves and gave the loin to Cabral Libi, it means it's something that has its legitimacy. So forget about that part. Let me finish. Let me land concerning what it comes to crowd. The 1992, we saw the crowd pulling by the iconic leader, Nijon Fundi. We saw the result. We saw when the people, they turned out, the result that came as a result of that turnout. So I don't think what our legal mind on the table, I don't think I would disagree with him a little bit, because we really saw how
that's his
yes, that's his opinion, but the opinion shouldn't be selective, because when we are here to tell the people that they are the ones who have the power to make their leaders. So when there is a massive turnout, it means the leader in question is convincing. It means the leader in question has a message which is very, very important and pertinent. 1992.
Was the loincloth a message?
No, please, this is distraction. When you talk of loincloth, when you want to talk of the loin and you bring up crap, it means you don't want to pass a message to the people. I'm here to give a message to the people.
I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you in a moment for you to give us more clarification concerning this particular issue. I'll come back to you in a moment.
No, there is nothing to give a particular. I've said it clear. I don't know what you want. I've said it. If the loin was given by the native, then it is legitimate. I don't see the reason why you want me to give something clear.
So actually,
there was nothing like manipulation. There was nothing like manipulation. It is the natives that makes their chiefs.
Okay.
I think if you can get that one, I don't want to go deep. I think there is a legal minds who can make it clear to you.
Okay, thank you.
It is the natives who makes their chiefs, and not the chief making their people.
Thank you very much.
If the people, that crowd that we saw, that 5,000 people who mobilized, because at 10 p.m. people were still there just to wait the message of Honorable Cabral Libi. It means he was coming with a heavy message, something very, very important that could transform the life of the Caribbeans, or transform the life of the natives of that area. So that line wasn't something like trying to manipulate. No. It's something that worth for. He merited, because they saw it in you, we can find that leader that we were looking for. Why can't you also ask her, what are those chiefs looking at the presidency? When they say that the president of the world is the chief of chiefs, why can't you also ask those questions? Then you see that a line that the people, and let me make you understand that when those chiefs, when they go to the presidency to give the form Zomlo or whatsoever, they don't consult with their people, which by now they have to take that power from the people. But now when you see now the crowd who are now coming to give the loin to Honorable Cabral, it means I don't know where the problem is coming from.
I'll come back to you. We're going to continue with this particular, of course, issue. Let's come back to you, Dr. Canning Derrick. It's very obvious, Kinang Derrick, rather. It's very obvious that today in Cameroon, as the polls are fast approaching, political parties, both from the opposition and the one in power, they are penetrating the interior parts of Cameroon, convincing Cameroonians that maybe the upcoming polls supposed to be in their favor. Now, do you think these crowd pulling at this moment is a guarantee of the upcoming presidential election?
When you say a guarantee, it's not like 100% certainty that is the result it's going to produce, because you have crowd, you automatically take the helm of the state. But permit me push it in another way. In as much as I would like to agree with Barrister as to the fact that crowd pulling is not that which determines end product as to elections. You get the point? Because there are so many determinants that come on board. But we cannot, for at least two reasons, water down the importance of crowd in an electoral process. If we just, maybe from my background, if we give it a juridico-political analysis, you will begin to understand why crowd is important. I even like the way you put it, crowd power. That is to say, there is something powerful about the crowd. You get it? And I want to strongly believe the crowd has a strong determinant, not alone, but it is among the strong determinants that pushed a leader to power from the legal standpoint. If the crowd wasn't that important, it means sections 87 of the Electoral Code would have been useless, which talks about campaigns. You don't campaign to non-living things. You don't campaign to human beings that are ex nihilo. You campaign to a particular identifiable crowd at a given moment in time. So in every electoral process, that is the reason why there is campaign. Because you need to go to that crowd for that crowd to push you and bring you to power. You get the case, but you get the point. But from a political standpoint, you begin to want to bring a kind of mixage to it when it comes to the case of Cameroon. That is where I was trying to say, I try to understand a bit with Barrister, because it has been proven for more than 43 years now. You get the point. It has been proven that at times it's not because you have the following that you become the #1 statesman. But 92 is there for us. Yes.
Dr. Keenan,
yes, I get your point. I get you.
You speak so well, and it's very obvious that those who are watching us are convinced about some of your declarations. You come to understand that even the previous presidential elections, the party that is in power didn't, of course, organize a lot of outings, but at the end of the day, the party in power is still in power.
No. I want to differ with you at that point. You know, contrary to the other aspirants, who at times are at the forefront of the electoral process, the incumbent, that is the ruling political party, operates with its état-major. You get the point? So, the fact that His Excellency President Paul Biya is not the one standing does not mean CPDM did not campaign. I want to believe they are even one of the highest parties that go into campaign. The only difference is that all the elites that eat fat from the regime take it upon them, the assignment to go to their different constituencies to ensure that they give victory to their natural candidate and their big man. So the absence of President Biya does not mean there was no campaign or elements of crowd pulling by the CPDM. I take you a very good example. Just of recent, in the far north, when the other opposition leaders in the far north, I'm referring to Issa Chiruma Bakari, ex-minister,
who was part of the government of
and Bello Buba, when they started pulling some kind of crowd in the far north, what happened? The CPDM had to send their own état-major in the person of Minister Luipo Motase.
We'll come back to that.
You get the point.
Issue.
So,
come back, yeah.
I want to learn by trying to draw our attention to the fact that, at least from the political standpoint, when you go from a symbolic perspective, you begin to understand why crowd is important, and you begin to understand why everybody is going to what the Frenchman called their fief, because it has a symbol to show that you are not a candidate not to be taken serious because you can pull. Because campaigns and elections in Cameroon, whether we like it or not, I'm part of those who strongly believe campaigns in Cameroon is not based on manifestos. Campaigns in Cameroon, it's inclinated by ethno-tribal stance.
Without a clean, transparent, and clear
manifesto.
Without a clean and transparent and clear manifesto, it's going to be very difficult for Cameroonians actually to know your political ideals or your ideas.
No. Let me clarify what
very obvious.
Let me clarify what I'm trying to say. Cameroonians are yet to get to that level. In fact, a great number of them that constitute the electorate.
You are telling us that there are some Cameroonians who do not understand the...
no, not that they don't... Let me come. Let me do a kind of political sociology of the electoral process of Cameroon. I am part of those who strongly believe Cameroonians are yet to get to that level in which...
How?
Let me come. They are yet to get to that level in which they are enticed by manifestos. For now, people still vote based on ethno-tribal lines. What I would like it or not is the truth. If not so, I strongly believe there are manifestos that are far more better than what the incumbent is proposing.
If you are talking about ethnicity or tribalism in Cameroon, I don't think that's actually a fact.
No, I'm not saying it is about ethnicity. I'm saying people vote based on their tribal and ethnic realities that permits them to identify with a particular candidate. You get the. I take for example.
Now,
I don't care what. Let me say it this way.
Dr. Kingna, if you insist on this particular aspect, it is very obvious that in the Kumbawan subdivision, we have the CPDM party,
yes,
of course, who is manning position as a councillor there. We have even in the Kumbaturi subdivision.
No,
is the CPDM party? Of course, the leader is from this area. Do you
permit,
they are voting those
when you keep cutting me, I won't push my analysis better. Let me put it this way. Somebody from, I don't know, the Grand North might not be too interested in how good the manifesto of Joshua Osei is, or how good the manifesto of Cabral Libi.
But they are intellectuals back there.
But he just know that my brother Isha Chiruma is from this part of the country and I need to vote my brother. You talked about Kumba. That is the reason why I said the CPDM is very powerful, because he operates with Etat Major. For example, when a son born and bred in Kumba who want to campaign in Kumba, he will be telling the crowd, vote for President Paul Biya, because a vote for President Paul Biya is a vote for me, your brother. A vote for President Paul Biya is a vote for me to bring goodies back to the village. You get the point? So it might not be President Biya standing, but it is his Etat Major standing and speaking on behalf of President Biya, and the crowd is following that Etat Major, because that Etat Major in question is a born and bred of that environment.
Dr. Kinan,
and they know if they should keep this Etat Major, if they should keep President Biya in power, they keep the Etat Major and can also have a cut of the national cake.
Dr. Kinan, we have of course with us Blaise Kwajika, who is of course from the PCRN political party.
Sure.
That particular political party is not from the two English-speaking regions, meaning that that same dynasty, that same infiltration of political strength manifests with the party too. Why is it that the other party is not manifesting the way the party in power is?
It's the same thing. I don't see Cabral Libi moving to Bamenda and start pulling crowd without the contribution of Blaise Kwajika and Barrister Tamfu Richard. I don't know if you get the point. I don't see Cabral Libi moving into Bamenda and pulling crowd without these two persons. Same way, I don't see Kwajika moving into the native land of Cabral Libi and calling for a rally in the name of Cabral Libi, and it comes that way. What I'm trying to say is, Cameroonians, whether we like it or not, we are in a multicultural society in which our tribal and ethnic origins plays a strong role on our political choice. You get the point? And all of this comes from the crowd. It is from the crowd that you pick he that is liable to vote and he that is not liable to vote. We have people that might not have electoral card, but they are crowd pullers that can bring you 5,100 voters. He will not vote on that day, but he can assure you 500 voters. He is an influencer that does not have a voter's card, but because Big Benji is outside, the crowd will follow, and because of Big Benji, they are voting.
Of course,
so you don't minimize the strength of the crowd when it comes to elections. It's my take.
That's your point of view, of course, Dr. Kinang. I'll be back. I'll come back to you. Let's get the opinion from activist and also an educationist, John Niba. Do you buy the same opinion with Dr. Kinang?
Yeah, before that I was saying there is no need calling for a strike action when there's a golden opportunity on the top of
we are not talking about strike here, Dr. John Niba. We are not talking about maneuvers. We are talking about, of course, crowd pulling. Is it a success to the upcoming polls?
Every patriotic and reasonable citizen knows that there is a golden opportunity, which is the 12th of October, in order to make a choice, in order to arrange your situation or not. So there is no need. I am calling on teachers to go back to class and do the work while waiting for elections. Now, I don't know how it will kill you as the presenter, but let me now go to your
it's very important
question.
It's very important, John.
Let me go to your question.
Yeah.
The crowd, I don't know if before you people put up that topic, you have instances in the world that you can quote where people won elections without crowds. Because there is no need pointing to an empty spot.
John Niba,
yes.
There can be crowds, of course. In the midst of these people, there are some who are not electors. And of course, in the midst of these people, some might come in maybe a campaign just to maybe because of the fact that you're putting on a black cap and they just want to come and see. Do you think that also is a guarantee for success when it comes to presidential elections?
But then what I'm saying is that in my history of observing and seeing how the people do campaigns and voting in the world, no presidents have won election campaigning to empty spaces without people.
Johnny, by in Cameroon context.
Cameroon context, Cameroon is not an island. And there is no time somebody has won elections in Cameroon without crowds. So the crowds, just like Dr. Kinang said, they are not a negative factor to anybody's pathway to victory. And how do you feel if Phil Enchi was a presidential candidate and goes somewhere and stands there alone with your speakers and your canopies and there is nobody? Will you continue? We have the courage to continue. You don't ask obvious questions. I think we have more pertinent questions that we can deliberate on.
John Niba,
because
it's very obvious
you
that
cannot also win election without a crowd.
It's very obvious. John Niba, it's very obvious that recently we saw the announcement of the Minister of Finance was supposed to be in the Diamari in the Far North region, and of course this particular visit was cancelled due to some unforeseen circumstances. We talked about some people who came out and were not comfortable with such outings. Do you think with the presence of this member of government in this part of the country was actually was it politically motivated?
Anyway, normally if the minister was going out as a minister for state duties or state services, it would have been communicated.
The thing is, he is there. He was about going there due to the fact that he wanted to have talks with some of the traditional rulers.
Which traditional rulers again? When they were added to he was not there. You see, it is a waste of resources, a waste of time, and a waste of taxpayers' money. Those are traditional rulers that were added to it is not even up to a month. And it is still a minister who convoked them, Minister of State. We talk of the Secretary General of the Presidency. Even the minister himself had an opportunity to meet with the traditional rulers. After that, you still run to go there. But I'm not. You make Cameroonians to panic, thinking that their ministers cannot have access to the people again. They have protection. They have the defense forces to guide every minister to go anywhere. You cannot stand on TV here to make me believe that the minister was so much intimidated that he did not go again. I just want to think that they did not give you journalists the real reason why a minister will not go somewhere. Even in war-torn or in conflict-torn regions of this country, ministers still go there. So don't give me the impression that the minister couldn't get access to that place. But now, coming back to crowds, if crowds were not vital, we would not see administrators block roads with their own personal vehicles so that people should not pass and go and meet the crowds. If crowds were not vital, we will not see during 20th May how some parties pull the march for an hour, why they try to manipulate crowds. If crowds were not important,
the impact of the upcoming
yes,
polls.
I'm leading there. If crowds were not important, we will not see how before this Android generation came, this time where we can make use of our Android phone and others, frontline media were biased in showing the crowds. When the ruling party is doing campaign, they will show very well. But when the opposition is somewhere, they don't show. So the crowd has power, just like you have said, and it's very important. But now, even a baby in nursery one knows that it's not everybody in that crowd that will vote. And then, even for the future of the country and for citizenship, some people were ignorant, and thanks to listening to what somebody is saying in the crowd, they become active citizens, and next time they don't make the same errors. So I don't know the problem people have with crowds following people
John
here,
Niba,
but I think
that's your opinion.
You cannot win an election without the crowds.
That's your opinion. I'll come back to you, Barrister. It's very obvious that as we were talking about the crowds this year, Cameroon, of course, we have an estimated population of about 30 million Cameroonians, and it's very obvious that not up to this number of people will be going to the polls in the upcoming presidential elections. Do you think, I'll come back to you before we dive to the next topic of today, do you think people can be manipulated to get into or to accept a particular manifesto or to be or stand behind a political party?
What you're talking about manipulation, I think when it comes to politics in Cameroon, like the case of Cameroon, the national interest, which is supposed to be the common good for which every Cameroonian should vie for, just as the political parties themselves and every individual, has been relegated to maybe the last place, and it is just our interest which is important. So when you talk about manipulation, I think that when the individual interest becomes so paramount than the collective, the general will, we cannot. Then anything is possible. Just like we have seen, when you see, I like the way my co-panelists are very, very optimistic about crowd polling factor, which is very, very wonderful. But the question is, in the context of Cameroon, to what extent have these people been able to make good use of the crowd polling factor? This is why I say that there is something which is lacking. But I'm not neglecting that when they talk about like the manifesto of the SDF, which is it the slogan of the SDF? I'm not a militant of SDF, but I actually like that when they say SDF, they shout power to the people and equal opportunities. When they're talking, who are these people? If the people do not constitute the power, then they should not. So, but now, to what extent, when you want to question how has it power, how have the people been trained to use this power? That is why I say the crowd polling factor in political rallies in Cameroon has always been there, but that the expected results that we want to see. And I think if you want to look at it, as times is passing, people rather get discouraged from investing into politics than from engaging into politics because of the fact that they have taken this bold move but found frustration at the end time.
Thank you, Barrister. Of course, I'll come back to you, Dr. Kinang Derrick. When you look at the political atmosphere, it's very obvious that some days ago there was a conflict of interest between the Pius Party of Serge Espoir Matomba and, of course, the SDF political party. It was actually a serious call for concern because both parties their insignia was actually the same. They had almost the same color of their ballot paper, and of course they were putting on the same regalia, signifying that of course with the power to the people insignia, of course. And at the end of the day, Serge or the SDF political party complaint was that these people or the ballot paper will be confusing at the end of the day or during the elections. Now, don't you think this particular complaint, was it founded? Because at the end of the day, it was rejected at the Constitutional Council, and it's very obvious that the main reason behind this complaint was the fact that maybe the party of Serge Espoir Matomba are going to take away the followers of the SDF.
Yeah, I think when you go into the nitty-gritties of that case, you want to agree that the fact that it was thrown out of court didn't really concern the content as to which the SDF was decrying. I think if my memories are not failing me, it was thrown out of court because it lacked what the Frenchman usually calls vice de forme. That is, the content was good, but the form of it
was unfounded.
It was not the form. It was thrown out simply because it was submitted after the deadline.
But that's the form
so
I'm
they did not
about.
even look into it.
Yes, we are saying the same thing. That is an element of form. Because whenever you file a case with the Constitutional Council, I think they have elements of form and elements of content. So just that non-respect of timeline pushed that case outside. But I think if that particular case satisfied all the elements of form and they went into the fight to really look at the content, it would have been something to water our throats. Because whether we like it or not, those are strong symbols in electoral processes. What many Cameroonians need to understand is that an electoral process is just like the market, where you market your product. to have customers and end results. At times, the packaging of a product matters, true or true. I think it matters for those that are into marketing. The packaging of a product at times sends some kind of symbols.
It's very important, yeah.
That symbol of the strong man, Nijon Fundi, still sticks in the minds of some of our forefathers or some of our grandmothers and our grandparents in the village, who are very much most often moved by that sign.
Dr. Kinang, it is very clean and clear that in the past years, the SDF political party have been using this insignia of power to the people since from its inception in the 90s.
Exactly.
Now, coming today, seeing the Pews party coming up with such an insignia in a crucial moment, don't you think that's another sense of pulling the crowd towards the party? And at the end of the day, an interview or a press briefing was being granted by the party leader, and he was sending a strong warning signal to the SDF, to his FDF comrade, of course, saying that he's not out to combat the opposition party, but of course the party that is in power. No, don't you think that it was a very subtle manner of reducing the population or the crowd behind the Social Democratic Front?
That's why I'm saying that I want to agree with the president of Pews that maybe the SDF political party didn't handle that matter the way it should have been handled. You get the point. I want to agree with him that maybe they didn't really have some kind of intention to do what to push the kind of impact they were pushing. I want to ignorantly think so. But you cannot put a flip eye to such a symbolic element. You can also want to understand the reason why the SDF was vexed like the way they were. Because whether I would like it or not, you and I can make a distinction of those insignia. But my mother in Furawa, one of my grandmother in far off Akwayade.
Is it manipulation?
One of my mother in the borders or in the far villages of Kolofata already knows that she cannot distinguish between which ballot is which one. But over the years, with her walking stick, she has always moved to the polling station and go for power to the people. And remember, Nijon Fundi in those days was not raising that hand in front of his TV station. He usually does that when there is a crowd. You get the point? So, it is very possible that that mistake can take away, it cannot take away Pew's militants, but it can take away SDF militants because it has been their sign from time immemorial. And there are so many voters that are not as educated or politically conscious than you and like you and I. In those days when I used to be very much interested on electoral matters, you hear a mother will be telling you, give me that paper, give me that paper that has that fire there. You get the point? So these symbols direct them on what to take. And when you go producing similar symbols, you can only push the SDF to start doubting your intentions as to you wanting to play foul game with them and take away their electorate. Because there are so many of the electorate that believe in that symbol, that do not distinguish between blue from red from white and all what is written there. But from that symbol, they recognize with the SDF.
Thank you. We'll come back to you, of course. Is it actually, do you buy the same idea with Dr. Kinang, the PCRN representative? I'm talking about Blazer Kwajika.
Yeah, at a certain point, I can buy the idea. But I think both parties, there is what we call a time when...
Have you ever faced similar problems with your party?
No, we have never had that such a problem. But I just want to say, I think there are colors, each ballot papers of each political party has its own color to distinguish. That is, it's now for the party now to sell the colors. That's the reason why we need rallies. We need moments where the candidate discuss or need to share their point of views with the voters. That's why we need. This is a moment that we need candidates to get to the field now to make that differences. it's just unfortunate that what just happened.
The campaign period is not actually.
No, it's not.
It's not actually out. So
exactly.
They are just there.
Exactly.
Don't you think with this moment right now, the going and ups and downs can be maybe coined down to a subtle manipulation?
Well, left to you. But I think it's left for the party's leadership and the militants, to at least bring a difference. That is, get to the field, door to door, do a kind of a door to door sensitization. That is the B2B sensitization, in order to show the electorate what their ballot paper presents. The signal or the colors, to avoid the confusion.
Okay.
So for me, I think
John Niba, you want to say something?
I want to say that normally.
So you have some few minutes, John Niba.
Yeah. You seem as if you don't want me to talk.
No, you have. I said you have some few minutes.
I've not even started.
No, you have the floor.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So I want to say that Pius should have had the same worries like SDF. You see, if they are quiet, it means something.
No, it is not about a battle.
No,
it is about the insignia and getting a recognition. You come to discover that you can't be you've created a party for the past years, and Cameroonians, both home and abroad, know that this is your insignia.
I understand the problem very well.
It is very obvious. It is very obvious that those who are going to the polls, or those who will be going to the polls, they are not only the youths, they are parents, they are grandparents who will be going out there to vote, and they of course are adapted, or what they know is the power to the people insignia. And when they get their ballot paper, what they need to do is just go there and put it. When they see two papers carrying the insignia of power to the people, don't you think somebody is trying to do something that is not right?
If you allowed me to talk, we'll get time.
You have the time. Some few minutes.
That is why I'm saying that.
And you're killing the time, Mr. John.
Pius was supposed to be worried that their militants may, or their sympathizers will mistakenly vote for SDF, but Pius is not worried. And when Pius is not worried, it means Pius is deliberately playing foul play to SDF. Because we don't understand why they decided. They have been going in for elections, past elections, and they have not used that.
Why just not?
And based on that particular ballot paper in 2018, the ballot paper didn't carry the power to the people insignia.
That is the same thing I said.
Joshua, Honorable O.C. Joshua, of course, had the suit. He was putting on the Western regalia. And this time around without the party insignia, and there was no problem. But why now?
Listen, we know where the problem is coming from. In 2018, the hand of Matumba was not up. That power was not up. Maybe it resembled a bit in one way, but the highest damage is lifting the fist up, just like the SDF or late Frundi started. Let me say that normally Pius was equally supposed to be worried that
1 minute to round up.
They are going to lose some of their militants, or to vote for that. Their militants were to confuse and vote, but they are not worried. It simply means that is bad faith. And I think the SDF, that is why in another platform I was asking, did the SDF and Pius discuss like opposition without necessarily going to a constitutional council that has never given reason to any opposition? So I think, yes, if you live in space, we live in Cameroon. Now, I think that if they discussed like opposition, maybe they would have had a reasonable understanding, like gentlemen, to solve that problem, because whether you like it or not, it is a very dangerous problem and is going to mar the performance of SDF.
Meaning it's going to, of course, drain the crowd of SDF. That's what
it is going to mar. You can put it the way you want.
Thank you very much, John Niba, for your intervention. Thank you very much, panelists. Of course, we know we have the second topic to treat. And of course, it's very obvious that Cameroonians who are watching are getting the opinions from our panelists. Since we have another topic to treat, let's have this break and we'll be back. Thanks for joining us back. Of course, we dive directly to what we have for you this evening as our second topic, talking about startup business in Cameroon. Is it actually a myth or a reality in the country? We know that panelists, we know that in the country today, we have a series of startups, and of course, our educational background do permit us actually to gain knowledge about getting idea in entrepreneurship. Now, I just want to ask this, maybe pour it to you guys, to maybe edify Cameroonians on this particular topic. I'll start with you, John Niva. When we talk about startups in Cameroon, talking about businesses in the country, do you think this issue of startups in the country, is it a myth or a reality? We go to the Mokolo market today, we see youth out there making ends meet and living large. It is possible. It is a reality or a myth?
If it were a reality, 100%, you will not put up that topic.
There's no country that do have 100% everything. Putting
it up means that there is something that we have to talk about in order to maybe correct in that particular sector. But I want to let listeners know that startups are not
televiewers.
Thank you very much. Televiewers to understand that startups are not just any type of small trading businesses. Startups have their you can distinguish them in the light that when somebody begins a startup, that person, the characteristic or the aim is that the startup will not remain a small business after some time. It has to blossom, and then the person will have to maybe market in a large scale to cover a lot of people and maybe across countries to differentiate the buyer and seller with this. I'm saying this to separate the buyer and seller with this, because you, whether you like it or not, this appellation startup is a little bit new in our days. And in Cameroon, I think you don't sit and wait for the ideal time to begin. You start somewhere and observe the loopholes and try to correct the loopholes. And when it comes to startup in Cameroon, we have some startups that are doing well, especially in the technological field, where guys have said, oh, we know of Waspito and other things that guys put up that are functioning. But the problem now is first financing, and secondly, going with the type of internet connection that we have in the country that can really disturb at times. But it does not mean that those who are into it should be discouraged. No. The banking system has a lot to play when it comes to encouraging and supporting startups, because it is some sort of entrepreneurship where you may begin it with your own funds, with your own limited means, but now government is supposed to make sure that the banking system comes in to pump money to make those guys grow, because whether you like it or not, that is a sector that can actually encourage growth, economic growth in Cameroon, and also create jobs. But unfortunately, banks are still reticent to go into that.
Thank you very much, John Niva. Dr. Akinang Derrick, a myth or a reality?
No, personally, I think it's a reality. We have quite a number of startups in Cameroon, be it from the digital standpoint, from social entrepreneurship, as well as agro entrepreneurs. You get the point. But there are quite a number of challenges as to the existence of these startups. Reason why we are tempted to, at times, to think it is fast becoming a myth. I want to talk about, you will now understand the reason why I started by greeting some of these top authorities of the state to draw their attention to the simple fact that they have a lot to play should Cameroon want to remain on the world map as a country with reference. He already spoke about finance. You understand why I talked of the Minister of Finance. He needs to really sit up, and all the other top personalities I mentioned. We are yet to have that enabling environment put in place by political will.
What kind of environment are you talking
about? When you talk about an enabling environment for any startupper, wants to have an environment that is administratively okay, because that is one of the problems with startup business. Administrative bottlenecks
But in 72 hours in Cameroon, you can create a company.
No, that's what is written on paper. When we talk of administrative bottlenecks, it automatically comes in a situation in which what is expected to be so simple ends up becoming very complicated. You get the point. Before I could create my own small startup, Humanity for Peace, Education and Digitalization, you don't want to understand, you don't want to have an anecdotal of the stress I had to go through.
Cameroonians want to know.
Really, it's something we might not want to take time talking on, because whether we like it or not, for the image of the state and for the purpose of growth,
but you are successful.
There are certain things that should be left off media.
You are successful.
Of course, that is why I'm saying that. Had it been there was that administrative follow-up such that we don't have administrative bottlenecks, we might have more startups, and we might have startups living from the position of startups to grow up to become large enterprise, because it does not suffice to remain in the position of startups. He spoke about finance. I won't like to come back to that, but I want to stress on other existing factors that makes startups in Cameroon to want to start shifting from reality to a myth. You get it? Be it in the digital domain, we are yet to have internet, talk less of quality internet in some parts of the country. It's true, it's a gradual process, but the slowness of the gradual process is becoming problematic. You get the point? If you want to even go from the standpoint of agro entrepreneurs, you all know the issues we have in Cameroon when it comes to land tenure. You get the point? How do you become a startupper in the agricultural sector when you can't guarantee land? You get the point? So we are saying that the government is doing a lot, is doing what they can do. That is the reason why I strongly believe it is not a myth, it's a reality. But there is still much that is supposed to be done. Especially, we cannot talk of. Let me make us to understand some of the challenges that are even very symbolic to startup business. I think they are most often under the guardianship of the Ministry of Vocational Training. You have the Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises. What is the budget allocated to these ministries? From that, you begin to understand whether there is a lot of attention given to these startups. You also want to talk about the environment that startups are experiencing in Cameroon. We all saw what happened to startups in the southwest region, especially with the constant internet problems. So these and many more are some of the challenges that startups are facing in Cameroon. And I want to permit me end with this one important factor that startups are facing in Cameroon. We are yet to get to that society in which people believe in entrepreneurs. We are yet to get to that society in which people believe in businessmen.
Okay.
For now, we go behind the matricule.
Okay.
And when you are a civil servant, you are the landlord of your village.
Okay. We just
which is not correct.
Thank you very much, Akina Derek. We just want to remind our televiewers that please, we don't take calls. Send messages. Of course, we just received a message from one of our televiewers there in Douala. Greetings, everyone. I'm sending this message from Douala Nyala Chateau concerning crowd issue in an election. Obviously signifies you have voters and have been proven all over the world. In France, USA, opposition parties drew or pull crowds, but they couldn't make a clear proof. The message is not actually clear. Of course, you wanted to send a clean and good message, but of course, I'll come back to you, Barrister. Do you buy the same opinion to what Dr. Kinang Deg just said?
Of course. Yeah, I think looking at start off in Cameroon, you want to think about what are the policies put in place to favor this sector, and in which today I think we need to address this issue so as to ignite entrepreneurship amongst the young Cameroon jobless citizens. But when you look at it, like good policies will favor that Cameroon being let me say more of an agricultural country than the
a
digital economy.
But even in an agricultural industry, of course, there are always
Digitalization is
startup.
still very
You
much
have people who are in the domain of cocoa production, and today they are producing chocolate and butter and so on.
That is why I'm saying that the policies need to, like the government, if the government has taken care for this problem, then it will give priority to say, these are we are favoring, we have to subvent startups in maybe agricultural domains, in the domain of agriculture, so as to foster that we should produce what is ours and sell what is ours. But when we don't take this policy, we don't make this as a policy.
The Cameroonians today are very comfortable. Majority of them who are youths, they are into startup businesses, and some of them are surviving their families.
We are not refusing that.
Don't you think the government has been doing a lot?
We are not refusing the fact, but to what extent are we? What is the purpose of startup? We want to resolve the problem of unemployment and underemployment, perhaps. So now, if we just want to look at the few, out of 1,000, we have 10 who are succeeding. Will you want to say that we are
the statistics?
The majority, if we are bringing this topic, there is a problem with startup. And the
said.
majority of young Cameroonians and even the startups which we are operating, you may be seeing that we are marketing commodities which are not produced in Cameroon.
Don't you think that maybe it's because of fear? That's why some Cameroonians don't want to get into startups.
And that is why if there are fears, who is competent to address the fears of the people to say get up, I'm behind you.
But we have educative programs, especially on the full television, and edifying Cameroonians to get into startups. Barrister.
Yes, I'm not refusing, but like I have once even said in one of these platforms, in one of your programs, I think Game of the Throne, talking about small and medium-sized enterprises in Cameroon, that there is even a very big problem which we tend to ignore, that there are foreign companies which are operating, foreign companies which are operating in the capacity of small and medium-sized enterprises only for tax evasion. And these people are competing with the locals who are operating as startup or small and medium-sized. How will you expect that to flourish? That is why I'm talking about what are the policies which are put in place to promote, because it starts from policy making. From policy making, the educational program as what we are doing today will permit the people like the ones who are having fear. Why do they have fear? The fear comes because first, you might not have had a mastery of the activity you want to undertake. And you must know, in every business, without he who risks nothing has nothing.
We have
the people who are getting into this are people who have overcome the risk factor.
Barrister Mike, we have, of course, in Cameroon, the Ministry of Vocational Training and Employment. Of course, this particular ministry takes care of situations like this. We have other institutions that do groom Cameroonians. It is very obvious in the country. But why is it that some of the youth are finding it difficult? Is it fear or there is an obstacle? I'll come back.
You just made mention of the existence of ministries. Let me go back with the most glaring ministry, which was the Ministry of Decentralization, which was created as of late because of trying to address the issue of decentralization today in Cameroon. To what extent are we with decentralization today? So the question that an honest Cameroonian will ask will, do we create ministries to compensate some of no?
Ministry of Decentralization.
I'm bringing this to your understanding because you are talking about Ministry of Vocational Training. Because when you look at, I don't think we need a Ministry of Vocational Training. We need a Ministry of Economy. We need a Ministry of this in order to do this. The ministry, if we have a Ministry of Finance and Economy, this can address, and we have directorates with respect to these various programs, we can easily address this issue than to create ministries which are just there for maybe to tell the people that we have ministries, whereas in effect, when you go to the field, like Dr. Kina was asking about the budget, and I don't even want to look about the budget, because what is the roadmap of the minister who is appointed to carry on, and what is even the policy put in place by the government, that when you are being appointed as a minister, they give you, this is the roadmap we are expecting from you. If it is that I create a minister and appoint Dr. Kenan because of my proximity or my affinity with him, go and stay there, whether he does and whether there's an accountability of what is going, the difficulties or not, we don't expect what it's not, leadership is not a miracle. It's being at the service of the people, listening to the problems and trying to create, inventing solutions to address these problems.
A lot is being done in Cameroon today. Blaise Kwajika, we know you're from the opposition party, which of course, according to you, everything in Cameroon is not yet well done. But it's very obvious that you come to discover that even youths today, you go to the Mokolo market in Yaoundé, you find young people. You go to Maché Nkululu in Douala, you find young people who are living big. Some of them are, of course, are recruiting others to work in their startups, in their enterprises, and so on and so forth. Don't you think a lot has been done, or do you think more is needed to be done?
Yeah, when I saw this topic, I was so kind of very excited because really I'm a guy, I live, that is, I do most of my activities where most of these youth have been found. That is an area like Avenue Kennedy, where they...
In Yaoundé,
in Yaoundé.
That's the CBD of Yaoundé.
Exactly.
Central Business District.
Yeah, exactly. When you go there, you see young, talented Cameroonians who are really, who have this, they have this knowledge. They have the potential
to go into business and so on and so
forth. Exactly, especially the technology sector, like what
information and
communication. Exactly, that the e-tech.
They are making a living out of what they do.
Yeah, they are making a living.
And
you know, when we talk of startup, it means it's like a hope that you start somewhere, you have an idea. Yes.
And I'm very sure that you've taken one of your gadgets to these youths to fix.
Exactly.
And today you are happy with the result of their duty.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to.
And you pay the sum of money.
That's what I'm saying. That permit me. When you talk of startup, it means it's something that you have an idea, you conceive an idea, and you start nurturing that idea. And you need guardians, as Dr. Riley said. And then after molding, that is when you have already bring the idea up, you need to sell your idea to the market, start up business. But unfortunately in Cameroon, there are a lot of challenges. You know, when we are in a country where we have the informal sector, because most of the...
Now, when you talk about challenges, you think there will be a moment where the government will come and remove you from your house and try to inspire you to go out there and make a living for yourself?
When I talk of challenges, I talk of the environment. Look at the legal environment where those people are. Is it appropriate to nurse, to make this idea be fruitful for the nation? When you look at the environment, apart from the environment, the legal aspect. When I'm talking the environment, that is the legal, I can link it with the business aspect, because business cannot be flourishing where the legal system is not okay. You need to make a legal environment where people can exercise, have that confidence.
Now, when you talk about the legal environment is not comfortable for startups to proceed with their knowledge or their know-how in the country. But at the end of the day, you were one of the beneficiaries of a technician at Avenue Kennedy in Yaoundé. No. Don't you think that was actually something marvelous?
No, that's not even the area one. But when I'm talking of the legal, that is the business aspect, okay, it means you look at that environment whereby maybe the tax system...
Are they paying? What kind of tax are they paying at Avenue Kennedy?
The tax system, in terms of contracts that you sign with big companies, or you can have sponsors coming from other nations, other maybe international partners that they come. When the environment, the legal environment is not suitable, you can't convince someone from an international
Thank you
to
very
come
much.
and invest with you.
Thank you very
much.
That
are difficulties that these youth have when it comes to startup.
Thank you.
And then you also have the financial problem that we have already mentioned. Okay, the financial. access to finance.
It's a problem to you.
A problem to everybody, not to me, to this youth that I shared on
but in
daily
Cameroon, Blaise Kwajika, in Cameroon there are structures that do accompany youths to inspire them, not only financially. Now, in the domain of business, it's very obvious that people will tell you, or economists or entrepreneurs will tell you, that the financial aspect of it doesn't count a lot. You need to conceive your idea. You need to, of course, have that reputation that somebody can easily trust you for you to maybe grant you a service for free. And at times, once this is done, at the end of the day, finance just pop in. Now I'll come back to you. John Liba, do you have something to say concerning this?
I think maybe you don't want us to share ideas with Cameroonians.
No. Cameroonians, because, of course, Cameroonians are listening to you now.
Because Cameroonians knows the reality. When you talk, the reality is that they are being left on their own. They don't have access to what you are saying.
Access to what?
Access to finance.
What do you mean by finance?
When I mean finance, what do you want me to say? When you talk of finance, it means someone do not have that collateral to get into a bank and have financial facilities, to have something to sponsor to his project.
Now, do you think the government should buy lands for Cameroonians so that they can have...
What's the role of the states? What's the role of the states? That's the role of the state. I believe, let's see, in PCRN, we believe in what we call a Cameroon that protects and enriches energy.
That's part of your manifesto?
Permit me to learn. Permit me to learn.
You are landed.
Permit me to learn.
Go on, right on.
In PCRN, we know of a Cameroon that protects, and when we talk of protect, it means you protect the potentials that are there. You identify the different potentials. If it is at the domain of the high-tech, who are those who can bring this? Recently, I saw in one program where I saw young Cameroonians at international level. They were being awarded some prizes. There were 3 of them. I don't know how important those 3.
Now they were being awarded prizes, right?
Yeah, they were awarded, but that prize they don't. But we need
the
to
prize
feel
was a recognition to what they have done.
Exactly, it was a recognition, but it is not left to the states.
Those who are in the quartiers or the quarters, we usually call it those who are in the quartiers or in the quarters.
I see you don't want us
roaming around.
I see you don't want us to express ourselves here.
Maybe take
I just want you to make you that.
The government needs to put their head and put something inside.
No, listen. That are compatriots. They have a know-how, which is needed in all the countries. At least this is an advantage that we need to take. Is the Cameroon government needs to take those people and nurture them, make them to groom, let them come and be like at least mentors.
Do you think that is done in America, in other Western world countries?
Am I the one to tell you here?
I'll come back to you.
We are connected.
Maybe you share something different.
It seems you don't want us to
really
liberate ourselves.
I'll come back to you.
I'll
come back to you, Blaise.
I want to tell listeners that Cameroon is not Avenue Kennedy. And if you think that you
That's just an example,
yes,
Ibajon.
And you don't have any other one again, which is the problem. I think apart from those... how do we put that? Those intelligent and smart guys who can cope in the milieu of Avenue Kennedy and maybe the Mukuru Market, you move to the suburbs and the rural areas of Cameroon, you're going to see guys who have ideas, but now they cannot actually make a living from there because I think the state has not given them the enabling environment. When they talk of enabling environment, we are talking about even the tax system, even how the commercial banks grant loans. I think the councils are supposed to play an important role because the councils are very close to the young people. And I think in the councils you should have departments, a department for startups. Those who have good projects you bring and present, and the council should have budget to follow up because the council can easily get to them. When you are using Avenue Kennedy, there are people. Cameroon is very far. When I go to the far north and go to places where you don't even have light, don't even have internet, those guys have ideas.
There have been cases where money has been given to Cameroonians or to certain people, and at the end of the day, the results is not visible.
It's true.
Now, do you think that the government will maybe continue on daily basis sending out money because the government want to please Cameroonians because just the fact that we need startups in Cameroon?
Okay, we don't.
Given the fact that we have other issues.
It's true. We don't clamor for collective punishment. I'm a teacher, and I don't just punish all my whole class because one child.
One child, thank you.
So it is not because John Niba did not manage well or had a misfortune that the state condemns every other one. I think there are other people who are succeeding. That's why they are receiving prizes, and the state should multiply and create an enabling environment. There is this phenomenon of by-riding that is killing the intelligence and the competence of young people. The thing that going into by-riding is something.
What we popularly call Okada.
Yes, please. And when we see the President of the Republic, you know, the by-riders were very happy when the President of the Republic mentioned them. They thought it is now something that can actually make them to become autonomous and
they are autonomous
economically.
Do they depend on people?
Can you train your child in school to become a bike rider?
That's an opportunity.
No, I'm asking you.
That's an opportunity.
Will you actually send your child to school and pray that your child should become a bike rider? If you are honest enough, tell us that it's an opportunity. But I think that those type of opportunities, many youths are being drained into that, of which those youths can be canalized and sent into other more beneficial aspects like these startups and finance, and they are going to do better than having accidents every day, standing in the sun every day and under the rain in the name of employment. And then there is also another factor too that discourages a lot. It is true modernization is good, but now what policy is used by the state to protect those whose small businesses are broken down, because we watch it in news every day, because they want to modernize maybe part of Douala, or you see caterpillars come and just scatter everything. What about those small guys that want to start up with their little? You see, it discourages. That is also something. It means that before they break down a commercial center, they must have done some studies and know how to continue to protect and to accompany those people who struggle to invest.
That's your point of view, of course, John Ibai. You have something to say here, Dr. Kinang Derek?
Yeah, I just want to say, in as much as we want to always push it on the state and precisely the government, simply because within the state they hold the greatest share of the responsibility. Us as Cameroonians as well, we need to start thinking of the possibility to have a mind shift. As we pray for the government to provide us an enabling environment, once that enabling environment is provided, if we don't have a mind shift, that mindset of an entrepreneur, it's something many Cameroonians are lacking in. You see somebody with a mass born and bred talent, but is so discouraged to pick up on entrepreneurship, and they keep us on chasing concours to get government matricles. So if we can always, if they can push, sure. But the bad part about it is it's not the best form of developing a country. Most often when the private sector is booming, start-uppers, when Cameroonians will have that entrepreneurial mentality in which they know they can be their own boss and leader, you discover that the possibility of having more startups will be there, and the possibility of this startup leaving the state of startup to great companies will be very high. So that mindset shift, it's very important. This must be accompanied by an enabling environment provided by the government.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kinanga Derek. Your last words, Barrister Michael.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Enchi. I think concerning the two topics we've discussed, I want to say my last words to encourage Cameroonians that the change we are clamoring for or we are waiting for will not come by a miracle. I want to call the attention of each and everyone that we should change through reconciliation.
Thank you very much. We should change through reconciliation. That's what is coming from Barrister Mike Kelefak. Come back to you. Of course, I bless Kwajika.
I will go.
You have a lot to say. It's just that there's no more time.
There's no more time, but at least give us.
With your
I think this is an opportunity to tell the managing board that at least we need to give at least time to us so that when we come, we express ourselves, because we really have a lot to give to Cameroonians. I will still hit on the mindset change, shift, like doctor said. I think even if we are going through that process, doctor, I think it's still the state, because it starts with the educational system.
Sure, it's a state like.
That's what I'm saying. It's the state. It is a state that has that regular, the regular role. Is a regular role of the state to provide education for the people. We need to see how we need to move from this general educational system to the technical educational system, because that's what PCRN is promoting, and also the decentralization. That is, see how we can make good use of our councils, like what John Neba equally said. That is because PCRN is proposing to give an envelope of 30% of state budget to each council. Just imagine if you can have 2 billion to a council. Do you know what that 2 billion can do for just for a rural council? Yeah, just let me just round up. Just to round up, I will say
there's no more time.
Yeah, I know there's no more time.
Your last word.
Yeah, no, I just
leave.
wanted to clear something. What PCRN will be proposing for the presidential election, because we are going in for a identity-based regionalization. That is a federal state, and councils will be our pillar of development in our community. That is, we are going to reinforce the capacity of our councils. That is by allocating an envelope of that is 30% of the state budget. That's, if you can do your arithmetic, it's around 2-point-something billion that you will give, and that money will be meant for issues like startup.
Are you sure at the end of the day those money will not end up in the pockets of people? But of course,
no. That's even the best one, because those who will be responsible for that budget, right? They will give accounts to the people. For you to bargain for the next mandate, you need to present a balance sheet.
Thank you very
much. That's why we are asking for the incumbent president. As October is fast approaching, then you bring a balance sheet and present to Cameroonian what he has been doing for the past 40 years. Because that's what we are expecting. And us, who we want to take the space, we will present what we want to give to Cameroonians.
Thank you very much.
And
thank you very
I would tell Cameroonians that we need to be positive for October.
Thank you.
We need to withdraw our voters' card massively, because it is a collective action. The change is not something for a particular group of people.
Thank you very much.
It is a collective action.
Thank you very much.
And we need to control our votes massively.
Thank you very much.
Ensure to take your voters' card so that by October we'll be active.
Thank you very much, Blaise Kwajika. Thank you very much, Barrister Michael. Thank you very much, Dr. Derek Kinang. Thank
pleasure.
you very much, John Niba.
It's
been a wonderful day, and of course, I would just want to believe that in no distant time, you guys will be getting us on this same platform, same program. Stay tuned, because maybe the next program will be hosted by my colleague, who is of course not present due to unforeseen circumstances. Thank you very much. Keep watching program on M4 TV. Good night.